They just watched that and they felt so sorry for it. They just said, well, you know what, I'm going to help it. I'm going to help it get out of it. So they reached down and they took that little cocoon and they kind of chipped it apart and broke it open. And sure enough, they helped it. The butterfly just kind of just jumped right out. But they said as they watched it there, it just kind of fluttered or flopped around a little bit and then it died. It died. He wanted to help it out. But it turns out that in the butterfly's case, and I believe much like our own spiritual case, that if there is no struggle, there is no growth. In the case of the butterfly, as it's trying to struggle out of this cocoon and get out of there, that struggle is what forces all these life fluids, the blood, the nourishment, and everything else out into its wings. So when they reached down and they broke that open, they short-circuited that process. And it died. So our cross that we carry, that we have to carry if we're going to be worthy of following Jesus, does that for us. It is those burdens that we have to pray our way through. Those obstacles that we have to get over. That's what develops our spiritual character. If you look back at Peter, Peter was my pastor says, he just kind of imagined Peter as a boisterous man, kind of big. And there towards the end there, and Peter said, Lord, though all forsake thee, not me, and I'll be right there to the death. So we find that when they was in the garden there, and they came after Jesus, sure enough, Peter demonstrated the willingness to die for Jesus right at that moment. He was willing to die for him. He drew that sword and cut the guy's ear off. And the Lord kind of rebuked him, which kind of broke Peter's spirit. Peter didn't know how to respond to that. He was, Lord, I was just ready to give my life for you, and here you are scolding me. What am I supposed to do? So he run. And he ended up denying Christ 3 times. Now, it's my belief that particular situation in Peter's life done more to strengthen him for what lies ahead. So that on the day of Pentecost, when he had to stand up, face that crowd, and declare what was, that experience he had had gave him the strength and the determination. There was no way he was going to back down anymore. Okay? So it was that bad experience in his life that I believe that gave him the determination to do what had to be done from there on. And I believe that Peter probably, most likely, thought about that several times during his lifetime, and he used that. He reached back to that point and said, well, I failed the Lord that time. No more. No more. So it's those things in life that come at us that we have to go through, that sometimes we stumble. And it's sometimes through those stumbles that we actually gain the most spiritual value. Because we're not going to let it happen again. We're not going to fail God again. Yeah? All right, we thank you, Lord. All right, I'm getting close here. I don't hold you much longer, but I want to ask you, is there anyone that feels like you're going to be able to get to heaven without loving the Lord? Is there anybody that thinks that? Would you go to Deuteronomy with me real quick? Deuteronomy 6 and 5. Kind of affirm what we just said. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. That's a commandment. And if we're going to get to heaven, we're going to have to love the Lord. Now, if we've established that, if you look at John 14 and 15. John 14 and 15. There's many people, it seems like, that you hear a lot about legalism and all that. But they feel like, well, when you come in and God forgives you, He loves you, okay, that's all that's needed. But according to John 14 to 15, Jesus said, and that's in red, if ye love me, keep my commandments. It doesn't seem to be any choice in that to me, and it also doesn't seem to be open to selection. You know, and you might think, the minute you begin to think, well, I know the Lord loves me. Okay, so I know He's not going to care if I just, you know, I'll take these commandments, and those are the ones I'll keep. The others, those are too hard for me. But it doesn't sound to me like we have that option. If you love me, keep my commandments. That's pretty simple and straightforward. You just got to do it. Because the minute you feel like you can pick and choose what you will keep, then in essence, much like Satan, you establish yourself as God. Because you're the one that's picking. You're the one that's determining. Just like Satan said, well, I will sin. You have determined, other than God, what you will do. All right, I'm going to close here. Read something to you. But first, I'd like to touch on this legalism thing. I've heard so many talk about, well, you can't be saved by legalism. And then, in a sense, that's true. You cannot earn your way into heaven through works. But I think it's important that we remember that we have salvation because somebody met the legal requirement of the law. And that was Jesus. There's been no one else that could do it. But the law laid down the requirement for the sacrifice that would provide salvation. And Jesus met that. So we have access to salvation because somebody met the legal requirement of the law. Jesus laid down His life, and we are allowed substitutionary atonement through His blood. Okay? So when somebody tells you, well, legalism don't save you, in a sense it does, because Jesus met the legal requirement and has given you the ability to take hold of that. You can't do it, though. Nobody can be perfect. Let me read this to you. You may not be 100% perfect in your everyday walk carrying your cross. There are going to be times when we falter. Oh, Lord, I'm sorry, Lord, I couldn't do it today. So you may not be 100% perfect. You will not be perfect in this body. Paul said this corruptible must put on incorruption. So as long as we're in this flesh, we are going to fall short in that sense. Okay? But listen. You may not be 100% perfect in your everyday walk carrying the cross, but you better be and demonstrate 100% committed. Because if you're not 100% committed, God doesn't have 100% of your heart. And He will not settle for less than your whole heart. Understand? It's not so much about being perfect every day of our life. What it is about is being committed. So you don't have these days, well, I don't know, I'm not sick, but I just don't feel like I'll go to church tonight. Where's the commitment? You look around and you see everybody's laid their cross down, they're no longer committed. So even though we can't be perfect, we better be 100% committed to the gospel. Because I'm not sure that if you're not totally committed, that you're going to make it. If the righteous scarcely be saved, how do you expect to make it if you're not giving God your all? And giving God your all as much as possible every day. Well, this week I think I'll just kind of lay back and take it easy. You have to be 100% committed. And I'll leave you with this comment. Sometimes, to say yes to Jesus, we have to say no to others. So this walk is not always an easy thing. It is a struggle. But that struggle is for a purpose. Our cross is for a purpose. It was uniquely designed for each of us